3 executive orders included one which had a huge economic impact, and that was his decision to pull the US out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal. Although it brought about mixed reactions within the US itself, the 11 other partner countries have expressed disapproval and dismay. Today we are joined by Professor Dr. Steve Keen, a leading economist and author, to talk about how the US's withdrawal out of the TPP affects the global market, particularly Asia. Hello, Professor Keen. It's so nice of you to join us today. So we're here to talk about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and the first question I would like to ask you is if you can explain to us very simply what the TPP is.
At the simplest level, it's another trade agreement which is intended to reduce trade barriers and promote trade between nations, but it goes a lot further than that, and its primary focus that makes it different to previous treaties the primary focus is on intellectual property rights and effectively extending the system of American intellectual property rights around the world. And the second component of it is effectively treating corporations as individuals of a, if you like, virtually, people call it a globalist system, where they're given rights to sue particular nations if those nations' laws signed subsequent to the TPP in any way can conflict with the TPP. And that can mean, for example, that if you run a health campaign which makes it illegal to sell tobacco, then you can be sued by tobacco companies for making tobacco illegal, even if there's extremely good health reasons why you should do that. But the main one that I think that is the most intriguing is the extension of American copyright laws. And in this case, it says copyright has to be for the life of the author, whether that's a writer or a computer programmer, plus 70 years. Now, you might want to write 70 years. The reason is because it used to be 25 years, but every time that it was likely to mean that the copyright for, and I'm not joking, the copyright for Mickey Mouse was about to expire, the Disney company would lobby the Congress to extend the copyright another 5 years or thereabouts. So the extension of copyright laws every 5 years to go from 25 years after the death of the author to 30 to 35 became known as the Mickey Mouse Clause. Now that is now part of TPP, and I think it is frankly unjustifiable, indefensible. And for that reason alone, I'm glad to see the TPP has been rejected.
Oh, okay. So, do you think that the US's decision to pull out of the TPP, do you think it's final, or is there a possibility that they will change their mind and go back to it?
No, not in America. I mean, as I said, one of the good side effects of Trump getting elected is this thing is thrown in the garbage bin where it belongs, because it is based on a vision of how the economy operates, which I think is frankly false. And then behind that, it extends the power of corporations far beyond a level that's justified by the economic theory that lies behind something like the TPP. So it's a very good thing that it's gone. While Trump is there, they certainly won't bring it back in. One of the dangers, of course, is that if Trump causes the level of chaos that appears to be the process of his election right now, then in some years' time he could justify appointing a very, very neoliberal rival who would then come back and sign the TPP, because it's got the hands of neoliberal theory all over it. So we won't be right while Trump is there, but if Trump has unintended consequences of legitimising the very theories he thought he was going to bring an end to, then it could come back in 4 years' time.
Okay. What effects does the withdrawal have on, globally, particularly the Asian market? Because we're based in Asia, so we want to know if it will have any effect on the Asian market or in Thailand.
And it doesn't have a negative effect, of course. The only thing it might removes the potential positive effect, because there were going to be an abolition of about 80,000 tariffs on 80,000 different products, which would have made it cheaper still for Asian goods to be exported to America. So there's a potential benefit from that that's gone missing. But there's nothing lost, nothing has been taken away, no rights, no current rights are being removed by not signing the TPP. So the current situation that Asia has with regard to world trade is still the same. And I think in terms of the benefits of this, they're exaggerated compared to the losses you might have in terms of having to pay for intellectual property rights and losing the right to draft your own laws if those laws conflicted with the TPP. Bear in mind that quite a sensible public policy could have been made illegal by the TPP.
Okay. So what country do you think would be most affected by this decision, whether positive or negative?
America, because there would have been serious damage to the American economy on the manufacturing side out of the tariff reductions. There would have been serious benefit to America on the intellectual property side and the wealthy at the same time, and particularly American corporations who are all geared up to sue other nations through this in so-called investor settlement procedure. They would have done very nicely out of it. So it weakens the power of American corporations, and frankly I think that's a good thing.
Many reports say that China may overtake the US's position in the Asian market because they say that America has undermined itself by pulling out of the TPP, which took years to form. Do you think that China will play a bigger role now that the US is out of the TPP trade deal?
No, I mean, TPPs are irrelevant. This was all a spin job to justify, which I think was one of the most overdrafted and overextended legislative policy attempts in history. They're putting this thing on the same level as the Bretton Woods Agreement, when the Bretton Woods Agreement, as it was originally intended, which would have had not the American dollar as international reserve currency, but an internationally created currency called the Bankor. That was a far more significant treaty and far more likely benefit. This is quite a dangerous treaty, and I'm glad it's gone down.
So, America pulling out of the TPP, do you think this means the demise of the TPP? Will the TPP just die a slow death now?
I hope it does mean the demise of the TPP. Certainly the philosophy that underlies it is neoliberalism, which is derived from taking the first three economic textbooks seriously as a description of the real world. We've seen what that led to in terms of the financial crisis, which caught the economic profession completely unawares. And this again is just the whole belief that specialisation and trade liberalisation are the main engines of growth. There's tons of empirical data out there now to confirm that's not the case. Things like Danny Roddick's work at one end, and the brilliant work by the Atlas of Economic Complexity group at Harvard University shows that diversification is what leads to growth, not specialisation. So it's a false philosophy, a document based on that false philosophy, and with an enormous level of overreach in terms of extending the political power of corporations and effectively cementing the power of the wealthy in a naive belief that this would cause world growth. So I hope it's dead. Even the political climate is definitely shifting against it. The one thing that might legitimise it, if everything goes totally belly up with Trump, then somebody who believes this stuff might get elected in 2020. But I think that's unlikely.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. King, for very passionate words. And we will see you all next time. I'm Georgina Don for Thai Law Forum.